بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالعلم وزين أخلاقنا بالحلم وافتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. ثم ما بعد. I'm really glad to be with you tonight. I know it's too cold to come to the masjid. Someone accused me of bringing the cold, the snow from Houston. And this is incorrect, actually. I came from Houston. The weather was very nice there. So you have your own cold here. Anyway, I'm here tonight to represent Guidance College in a very quick presentation about Zakah rules. I know that everybody is excited, waiting for the month of Ramadan. And most probably, most of us, if not even all of us, mark our calendar to pay Zakat al-Mal in the month of Ramadan. Am I correct? So I came right on time. I do have a presentation here. I'm not sure if you can see it somewhere. Is it there? So this is 60 plus presentation slides. I was saying that this is a 60 plus slides going through the different rules of zakah for Muslims in the US. Of course, it's going to be like too long to go through the slides one by one. Let's keep it simple and straightforward to the point. What are the different zakatable assets that you need to take into consideration and to pay zakah on? Let me put it this way. What is zakatable, what is included, and what is excluded? Let's start with the cash money. Any cash money that you have, whether it is for saving purposes, for consumption purposes, for marriage, for hajj, for whatever reason might be, even if you are saving money to purchase a house, for example, okay, it doesn't make any difference. Any cash money that you have is zakatable, whether that money is like from the stimulus check that you have received or from the PPP loan that you have taken from the government if you do have business. Unemployment payment, cryptocurrency nowadays, it's a kind of currency that is acknowledged and like, imposing itself, so much so that the IRS is charging tax on cryptocurrency, by the way. Whether that money, as I said, for consumption purposes, for investment purposes, for saving purposes, it does not make any difference. Whether that money is documented or even undocumented. Of course, we're supposed to document everything, but if something is undocumented, quote unquote, تحت البلاطة, it should be included as well. Okay, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is nothing undocumented, everything is documented. Even if you have paid zakah on that cash money last year or last years, even if you have paid zakah on it over and over, every single year within certain criteria, like to match the nisab, and I will explain inshallah, then you need to pay zakah on. Now, the business that you have is of course zakatable, but we need to ask a question: what kind of business we are referring to? Someone has a car dealership. How about that? Car dealership. Someone has a grocery store. Someone like sells like merchant, sells clothes, right? Everything that is well known to be a commodity, to be a merchandise. Okay, to be goods, something that you offer for your clients. Whether you're talking about regular items or display items or even inventory, everything actually has to be taken into consideration, right? And vice versa, anything that is not for sale, right? Like the furniture, the tools, devices, whatever you use to run your business, as long as that item is not for sale, then it is zakah exempt. So only the bada'a, right? Only urudu tijara, whatever is called urudu tijara, is to be taken into consideration. Let's say that you have a grocery store. Some people actually go with the invoice value, how much they paid already to the wholesalers, to buy all the items that they do have in their stores. And some people go with what is called the retail value, right? How much you are asking for, and they do the math accordingly. None of the two ways actually is good enough or accurate enough. Do not go with the invoice value, how much you paid really for to purchasing all these items, because today's value might be the same, might be more and might be less, especially when it comes to food, for example. Some of the items might be just perished or expired. You cannot even sell them. It's illegal to sell something that is expired. So maybe you already purchased, made an order for some snack, $5,000. For some reason, nothing was sold. In the beginning of the month of Ramadan, you ended up having the market value equals 0. So you should not pay zakah on something that does not worth anything. So do not go with the invoice value. Do not go with the retail value, how much you are asking for, because this is actually just the listing price. You might get what you are asking for, and you might not. Go with something called the wholesale market value. Wholesale market value. How much? Which means simply that if you do not have all these items in your store in the month of Ramadan, how much you are willing to pay to the wholesalers, to the suppliers, to buy all those items. That is the wholesale market value. Wholesale market value. Some people actually work as professionals, as employees. They receive a paycheck, sometimes like professional fees from their clients, right? A physician, a lawyer, consultant, engineer, any kind of consultation that you offer. You have your own practice, and you receive money from your clients almost on daily basis. If you work for others, like you work for corporate America, for example, you receive payment every 2 weeks, sometimes every month, right? How to calculate zakah? Do not worry about the cash flow. Do not worry about the cash flow that you experience throughout the whole year long. Whatever money you receive, spend on yourself bil ma'roof, without like leading an extravagant lifestyle, and save the rest. Save the rest all the way until the beginning of the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, if you already accumulated nisab. Nisab means the threshold, means the minimum amount that if you do have, you need to pay zakatul mal. If you do not have it, then you are zakah exempt for that particular year. Nisab nowadays is almost $4,250. How did we get it? It's 85 grams of gold times the price of the gram of gold, right? Which is approximately $50 more or less. And when I say gold, I mean the 24 karat, right? So simple math, 50 times 85, right? That is $4,250, which means that if you do have that amount or more, then you are a zakah payer. You're supposed to pay zakatul mal. If the net amount that you have after deducting everything, and I will explain, you reach to an amount that is less than $4,250, then you are zakah exempt for that particular year. Again, whether you are an employee, a professional, consultant, self-employed, you have your own business. Okay. Sometimes, as I said, you receive money almost on daily basis, right? If you want to go with the concept of hawalan al-hawl, the passage of one lunar year, literally as is, it means that every single payment that you receive has to be documented, and you wait for one complete year, to pass, and then you pay zakah on that particular amount that you received, which is absolutely incorrect, right? So you're gonna end up having maybe more than 300 different zakat due date. How to manage? Okay, in addition to the nisab, which is the threshold, okay, anything that is added up, the surplus, the extra, is called al-mal al-mustafad. Al-mal al-mustafad, which is the extra or the surplus amount that is added to the nisab, right? Whatever is added to the nisab will be taken the same rule of the nisab. You marked your calendar for the beginning of the month of Ramadan. You already constituted $4,250 saving from the salary, from the paycheck that you receive from your employer or from the business, right? 1 or 2 days before the zakat due date, before the month of Ramadan, you received like a wet check, as they say, $10,000-$15,000. Do you have to pay zakah on it after 1 or 2 days, although it has been deposited for only 1 or 2 days, right? Do you have to pay zakah on it? The answer is yes, you have to pay zakah on it, because that is al-malu al-mustafad, or the extra amount that is to be added up to the nisab. It is not the case. It is not the case. If you receive money every now and then from a different source of income, like irregular source of income. For example, the only job that you have or the only source of income is your profession, is your job, and you receive a monthly check, right? It did happen that one of your relatives, overseas passed away, and you inherited money, right? That inheritance, that amount that you received as an inheritance, is a dakhil, is a kind of income, regardless of the reason behind gaining it, right? You set a new nisab for that particular income, that particular amount, because this is very irregular income, right? You receive that like money from overseas, let's say in the month of Safar. You wait until the month of Safar of next year, and you pay zakah on it. How about the long-term investment? Okay, you have a piece of land, for example, that you purchased, let's say 10, 15 years ago, and your plan at that time was to save it to the future. Whenever your kids grow up and it's time to send them to colleges, your plan actually was to put it on the market and to sell it. As long as that property, that piece of land, is not active in the market, it's not active in the market for sale, it is zakah exempt. This is called long-term investment. Whenever you decide to put it in the market, and you do put it in the market, okay, and you assign like a real estate agent, you put it in the website, from that time on, you need to start calculating zakah on it based on the market value. Why? Because again, yes, it is like a kind of investment, but it is a long-term investment. It's not active in the market. Otherwise, you have to pay zakah on it every single year for 10, 15, 20 years. You might pay zakah a certain amount that is even equivalent to the price of the land itself, which is like a very bad business, as they say. A retirement account. Retirement accounts depends on how much access you have to it. Retirement account could be 401k if you work for corporate America, could be 403 if you work for non-for-profit organizations, could be what else? Could be pension plan if you work for the government, whether federal or state or local. You receive something called pension plan, right? It's very simple. Whatever accessible is zakatable. Let's say, for example, that you have in your 401k in the beginning of the month of Ramadan, you have $100,000 worth of investment, right? Like stocks in the market. And if you decide to withdraw as much as you can, you will be having an access to only 50% of what you have. You apply for humanitarian case or emergency, whatever they call it. Okay, Fidelity or Wells Fargo might give you an access to 50%. So the accessible amount is how much? 50,000. Is that correct? If you decide to proceed, you will not be taking that 50,000 home. You will be penalized and charged like different penalties and charged, sometimes interest, sometimes processing fees, whatever they call it. Do the math, and the net amount actually is the zakatable one. You pay zakah on it based on 2.5% zakat rate. This is if you want to be in the safe side. If you want to go with the book without paying any extra money as zakah, you still can deduct from that net amount another maybe 15 or 20% usul thabita, fixed assets, because the stocks that you hold do not represent 100% commodities and merchandise, right? There are some furniture, some machineries, some buildings, offices, tools, devices, and so on and so forth. All these different items are zakah free, are zakah exempt. So you do the math and you pay zakah on that, in that amount, and you do the same exercise on an annual basis. Every single year in the month of Ramadan, find out how much you have in your account and do the math accordingly. If you do have a kind of investment in the stock market outside your retirement account, let's say that you have an IRA, right? Individual retirement account that has nothing to do with your employer. You have a brokerage account. You have simple investment account. You have 529 for, the education of your kids, whatever the category might be, right? Mutual fund account. Most probably you do have an access to 100% of the amount, because this is not an employer-based retirement account. This is an individual one, right? If that is the case, then the whole amount is zakatable, right? Do not pay zakat on 100% of the amount. Do the math. If you decide to withdraw everything, how much the net amount will be after, like, after all deductions, tax and processing fees and, whatever. The net amount actually is the zakatable one. Of course, if you are involved in farming business, then agricultural products, are zakatable. If you have cattle, for example, that is. But most probably for us Muslims here in the USA, we care about, the monthly income or the monthly salary and the retirement account and the aside business and the long-term investment. What if you have rental properties as a side business? You have some apartment units or condominium or like houses for rent, right? The house itself is not for sale, it is for rent. If that is the case, then you don't have to pay zakah on the market value of the house. You pay zakah on the lease revenue, on the amount that you receive from that rental property, right? If you change your mind, like after the tenant left, you decided to go and live in that house, it is zakah exempt. Anything that is called personal property for your personal use, whether the clothes that you have or the house that you live in or the furniture or the food that you store, even the jewelry of your wife, as long as it is within the average in that particular society, and the jewelry is for personal use and not for commercial purposes, it is zakah exempt. Of course, this is like a very debatable issue. If you want to go with the Hanafi madhab, for example, then you have to pay zakah on it. I'm not here to discourage you from paying zakah, but if you ask me a question, do I have to pay zakah on the jewelry of my wife and my daughters? My answer is no. It is zakah exempt because there is no difference between the car that your wife drives and the jewelry that she has for her personal use. Even if she uses that jewelry like occasionally, maybe once or twice a year, doesn't make any difference, right? As long as the amount itself or the value of the jewelry is within the average. Okay, that average differs from one society to another. Back to the rental property. You have a house. As long as you are living in that house, it is zakah exempt, right? If you leave the house and put it for rent, then you have to pay zakah on the lease revenue. If you change your mind after a while and put the house for sale, or from that point on, you have to consider paying zakat al-mal on the market value of the house. So you see easily here that the same house, in the first scenario it is zakah exempt, in the second scenario you pay zakah on the rent, in the third scenario you pay zakah on the market value of the house. It depends on your intention and your practice as well. Business people always ask about receivables and payables. Receivables means the amount that you expect to receive from your customers, right? Someone is on a payment plan, right? You expect him or her to pay you, right? Do not worry about the receivables. Do not take it into consideration. Whatever is receivable for this year will be already received for the next year, right? Wait until you receive the money and then you pay zakah on it. Because there is always a possibility, maybe slight possibility, that receivable might not be received. Why you pay zakah on an amount that you do not have? In addition to that, one of the conditions for the zakatability of any property or any asset is al-mulku tam, raqabatan wa yadan, full ownership and full access. Okay, that amount is technically yours, but in reality it's not like accessible. You do not have it. It's not in your possession, right? So you wait until you receive the money and then you pay zakah on it. When it comes to payables is what you're supposed to pay others. If that payable is a due, okay. For example, the month of Ramadan, you found out that you did not pay your tax for this year, or maybe you paid like part of your tax, and you still owe Uncle Sam, the IRS, another maybe $10,000-$15,000, right? You put them aside, and you have to pay them in order for you to exempt yourself from paying zakah on them. You cannot put them aside for calculation purposes. You exempt yourself or you waive yourself from paying zakah on them, and then after you finish the math, you bring them back. This is wrong. If you put them aside, then you have to pay them, to the IRS. What if you have some other like due debts, maybe loans, maybe whatever financial commitment you made in the past, and it is now due? Everything actually has to be deducted as long as you have a plan to pay, right? To pay off those debts or those loans, and then the rest of the money, if it is still that virtual pool of money that has the saving, the cash that you have, and the business that you have, and the retirement account, you do the math, right? If the net amount is still $4,250, then you have to pay zakah on it, which is most probably the case. The zakah should be a 2.5% zakat rate if you decide to pay your zakah in the month of Ramadan. Some people prefer to pay their zakah in the month of December, right? For like tax calculation purposes, which is fine. Do not pay 2.5, pay 2.575 to accommodate the 10 days difference between the lunar and the Gregorian year. How to pay zakatul mal, where to pay zakatul mal? You can send your zakah overseas if you think that people overseas are in desperate need for that money, especially if you have extended family members and relatives and faqr and poverty there. My advice is to strike a balance. You live here in the USA. We have a lot of mashari' and Islamic projects that serve the community, and they deserve our support. We need to be like more considerate actually for those projects that are serving the Muslim community. Of course, al-sadaqat or al-zakah, according to the Quran itself, has 8 different categories: al-fuqara and al-masakin. You start with them, especially if they are local. If you are positive that a certain individual lives in your society, attends the same masjid, you cannot ignore that individual and send your money overseas, because that person actually deserves your money way more than anybody else, right? Can you pay your zakat to the local masjid under the category of fi sabilillah? The answer is yes, as needed. We have several fatawa by different fiqh councils, including our fiqh council, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, that fi sabilillah means for the cause of Allah. Any project, any organization serves the Muslim community. You believe in the importance of that project. You trust the leadership of that organization. You see the outcome, result, and the fruit of that organization, and they ask for zakat al-mal because they are running short of fund, then you can pay zakat al-mal. Because the main reason behind, it's well known for us that fi sabilillah means for jihad purposes, like military activities. It does not apply nowadays in most cases. Number 2, the main reason behind applying jihad is to establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or give people the freedom of getting to know about Islam. Well, any kind of practice, any kind of effort that you do to establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be counted as a kind of jihad, according to the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said, "Jahidul mushrikina bi amwalikum wa anfusikum wa alsinatikum." Apply jihad against the enemies of Islam financially, physically, and through your tongues, meaning dawah. So even if you want to go with the literal meaning of jihad, right, and you just limit yourself to jihad, jihad actually means striving, to achieve something, whether good or bad. And that jihad could be a physical one, could be anything else. So for education purposes, you can, if your like local Islamic school is in need for your money, you can definitely pay zakat al-mal to that school. But again, this is the exception and not the default rule. Default rule is that we should take care of our masajid and our Islamic organizations from our own sadaqah and donation. Only and only if there is a need, like a desperate need for those organizations to receive your zakat because they're running short, because the sadaqah and donation is not enough, then you can pay them from zakat al-mal. I would say this is like very, very briefly, basic rules of zakah, just to open your appetite for the topic. And if you do have any comment or a question, I will be taking those questions, inshallah. And then we'll move on to the next step of the presentation, which is to talk a little bit about guidance. تفضل أخي الكريم. Yeah.
Question about how to investigate if someone is really in poverty or not. Like, for example, people in Syria, they say 97% now live under the
Poverty line.
So if I know people live there, they struggle, do I need to investigate too much, or I can assume that they're in great poverty and they're zakah eligible?
Well,
If friends or relatives.
when it comes to the situation in Syria, it is obvious. I mean, you don't I mean, you don't need even to bother like asking unless it is unless otherwise proven. Like certain individual is not in need because the default is that everybody there is in need because of the like civil war and you know what people are going through. نعم تفضل. Yeah, the passage of one lunar year. That's correct. Zakat due date. On everything, and not only your bank account, because your bank account is one of the sources, right, of having money, because some of the money might be outside the bank account. That bank account might be a saving account, might be a checking account, right? You might have like a, what they call it, money market account. You might have, I mean, so this is just like one of the possibilities of having cash is the checking account, but it's not everything. And as I said in the beginning, even if you have paid zakah on it, as long as the amount is still there for the next year, I mean, you still need to pay zakah on it. No. If you kept that money in your possession for one complete year, then you have to pay zakah on it. If you manage to pay that money before the passage of one lunar year, you put it in another property for residential purposes, للسكنة, then you are zakah exempt. So it depends on your intention and your practice as well. Your intention and your practice as well. طيب, let me take another question here. طيب يا إخوة, briefly, I'm here to represent Guidance College. Guidance College is an Islamic university. Alhamdulillah, we have been operating for the last 10 years. Maybe you are not, good enough in marketing. That's why you did not hear about it. We used to operate as Al-Qudah University, and then we changed the name to Guidance College. We offer 3 different programs: bachelor's degree in Islamic studies. This is like a very good program for those who want to become like a professional students of knowledge, for the second and the third generation of the Muslim community who do not speak the language of the Quran and the Sunnah, and for the new converts as well. We have masters in Islamic education to enhance and improve the quality of the performance of our teachers who are having like teaching position. They teach our kids Quran and Islamic studies and Arabic. We need to work on this area together. That's why we established like masters in Islamic education. The third one is masters in Islamic economics and finance, which is like a very promising and very growing industry here in the USA. Our job as Muslims is to introduce the Islamic finance system, to the society at large in a professional level by graduating and training, people who do have very solid fiqh background, and of course, I mean, they know the system, they know the finance system in the USA. 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, our board of trustees decided to move on from that very small rental office that we have in Houston, Texas, and to establish our own project. Alhamdulillah, we were able to purchase 18 acres of land. 18 acres of land. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Owner finance, of course, like interest free. And we developed our own master plan. The plan is to have, inshallah, like a very beautiful, mashallah, tabarakallah, masjid like yours. And the second floor will be the main office of Guidance College. There will be a healthcare clinic to serve the community at large, especially the uninsured people. And there will be K-12 full-time Islamic school from kindergarten all the way to the high school, and a gymnasium, and of course, some outdoor facilities. We will start the construction right after the month of Ramadan. We kind of like slowed down because of COVID-19. Now, alhamdulillah, we are picking up and getting back to track, as they say, as much as we can, inshallah. Guidance College is a 501c, non-for-profit organization, so all donations are tax deductible. Most importantly, Guidance College is an eligible zakah recipient. Under the category of al-fuqara and al-masakin, you can sponsor students, especially those new converts, brothers and sisters who join guidance college. Believe it or not, wallahi, they cannot afford, some of them, not all of them, cannot afford that very nominal tuition fees that we charge them because they have been stranded, abandoned by their family members only because of becoming Muslims. And they knock our door asking, for admission to study. Ethically, we cannot say no. I mean, we will not take you because you do not have money. Our job is to teach and to educate and not to charge money. So alhamdulillah, we did not in the past, we do not in the present, and inshallah, we will not in the future deny any application for admission because that particular student cannot afford paying the tuition fees. So under the category of al-fuqara and al-masakin, you can pay zakat al-mal. Under the category of Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, al-mu'allafati qulubuhum, like new Muslims, you can definitely pay zakat al-mal. Under the category of fi sabilillah, as a project, you can definitely pay, guidance college from your zakah. Do we need zakatul mal to proceed with our project? The answer is yes, we need it. Of course, I mean, we have been calling for sadaqah and donation, and even for qardun hasan to move on. When you hear 18 acres of land, it should come to your mind that we are talking about millions of dollars. It's not that easy, to move on with that project. So alhamdulillah, we started. We are moving, I would say, in a very good mood. Alhamdulillah, we'll move on. We'll start the construction, as soon as possible, inshallah, after the month of Ramadan. So, having said that, what kind of support we expect from the Muslim community? We definitely need your dua. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give us like more support and help and success, because we are serving the Muslim community on behalf of the Muslim community. We are spreading, alhamdulillah, authentic and relevant Islamic knowledge, making sure that Islamic knowledge is accessible to the community at large. And I would love actually to see some brothers and sisters from this community joining Guidance College. Okay? Go to our website, go to guidancecollege.org and read more about what kind of programs we have. If you can join us as a degree student, that will be wonderful. This is the best option. If not, maybe you can be a non-degree student. You have an interest, for example, to learn more about the Islamic inheritance law, right? Nizam al-Mawarith, the Islamic finance system, marriage and divorce, whatever you have in mind. You just pick and choose whatever classes that you want. Third of all, of course, we need your financial support. Can you pay zakatul mal in advance before the beginning of the month of Ramadan? The answer is yes. You can prepay zakatul mal. Prophet ﷺ asked his uncle Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu to prepay zakatul mal, and actually he did. Having said that, do you think inshallah tonight we can come up with a good amount of money from our zakah, from our donation, from our sadaqah, on behalf of ourselves, on behalf of others who passed away, that we want to give them a gift in the month of Sha'ban, right before the beginning of the month of Ramadan? Anyone can help us with $5,000 to sponsor a student for maybe 2 years, $5,000 sadaqah or zakah or donation. جزاك الله خير أخي, بارك الله فيك, بارك الله لك في أهلك وفي مالك. اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا, اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا, اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا. Allah give and compensate and multiply the reward for those who pay for your cause. Any match for my brother here? 5,000 sponsoring a convert student. Wallahi, this is the sadaqah jari that we always hear about. Okay, whether you put the money in building a masjid, or you invest it in educating a Muslim or a Muslima who will be graduating and just going out and spreading the da'wah, going to masajid and synagogues and churches and do interfaith dialogue and spread the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as that person is functional, operational, servicing the community, as long as you will be getting reward during your lifetime and even after your death, بعد عمر طويل. Any match for my brother here? 5,000. We do have, by the way, we have a credit card machine right there. It is on and ready, and we have pledge forms. If you choose your money to go to the construction, then check endowment. Endowment actually for the construction, for the masjid and for the main office of Guidance College. If you want your money to go to the financial aid and scholarships for those students, then check scholarship, right? Otherwise, it will go to the general expenses of Guidance College. طيب, how about 2,500 Zakat al-Mal? Anyone can, maybe two brothers together, can match my brother here, 2,500 from Zakat al-Mal. 2,500 actually is enough to sponsor a full-time student for 1 year. The bachelor's degree, believe it or not, cost, well, the tuition fees actually is only 10,000, which is almost free. So 10,000 you can sponsor like one convert 4 years for bachelor's degree. 5,000 for 2 years, right? 2,500 for only 1 year. Any sponsor for a student for 1 year, anyone who is willing, inshallah, to make it happen, 2,500 from your sadaqah, from your zakah, or your donation. جزاك الله خير أخي بارك الله فيك بارك الله لك في أهلك وفي مالك اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا اللهم أعط منفقا خلفا. Any match for my brother here? Maybe just one hand with 2,500, and inshallah we'll go down to 1,000. Any sponsor, any donor, any Kareem, 2,500. Anyone inshallah can make it happen? Give it a try. Even if you are not ready, even if you like the 2,500 are not ready now, maybe you can just make an installment, $100 a month, 50, whatever you can afford. How about 1,000? Do you think it is doable? 1,000? Can we commit to 1,000? Any? جزاك الله خير أخي بارك الله لك في أهلك وفي مالك. Another hand, جزاك الله خيرا كثيرا أخي بارك الله لك في أهلك وفي مالك. A third brother or sister with the, do you have sisters here? 1,000. Anyone who is willing, inshallah, to make it happen? 1,000. 1,000. How about طيب جزاك الله خير أخي بارك الله فيك الله يكرمك ويبارك فيك ويوسع عليك إن شاء الله في الدنيا والآخرة. طيب any more 1,000? Any more? Give it a try. Say it once. طيب how about 500? Those who did not raise their hand, can you make it inshallah? جزاك الله خير أخي بارك الله فيك. Another hand for 500. Anyone can make it happen? طيب, would you please make sure that you either use the credit card machine, it's right there, or if it is cash, we have that box for cash donation, or fill out the pledge form and give it back to me. If you take it home for some reason, it's a business reply mail. You just detach it and put your check or fill it out and like put it in the mail. Inshallah, we will be receiving it. And please make sure if you can, like if you decide to go with the pledge form, please like fill it out before you leave and give it back to me. Back to the questions. Anything in mind about zakah? As I said, I mean, this is like a very long presentation. I just try to keep it as simple as possible. Any comment, any question about zakat al-mal? طيب يا إخوة جزاكم الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله